Good afternoon, Youth in Government, and welcome to our first 2008 newscast. I'm Lauren Gunport.
I'm Ricky Townsend.
And I'm Tess Bartholomew Good. Speaking of first, we have a truly outspoken and courageous group of delegates running for governor this year.
Yes, Tess, one in particular, Jesse Ruckert, talked openly about his sexuality, something that I think youth delegates really appreciated.
I myself am a homosexual. Those were the words spoken by Jesse Ruckert at Meet the Candidates yesterday. For more on the story, we go to Rose with Jesse.
We have with us Jesse Ruckert running for 60th Youth Governor. At his campaign, he admitted that he was homosexual. Were you planning to say it at any time?
Definitely not. It wasn't really something on my mind. I like to think that, well, certain men were attracted to it, if you know what I mean.
That everyone really got to see, got an opportunity to see, the courage that he has.
I just think it proves that he's like a pretty honest person. I doubt it was strategic, but I think it will probably help him in the end.
Well, there you have it. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Rose.
Back to you.
Thanks, Charlie and Roslyn. Having a lesbian aunt.
You know what? I have a lesbian aunt too.
Really?
I do.
We think it's great that people are finally being able to step out of the shadows and talk about their differences.
You know, speaking of differences, we have a whole new batch of babies coming in. Freshies. Here to report on these new debaters, delegates, and dancers is Devin and Quinn.
For 6 decades, youth in government has been a refuge for only sophomores, juniors, and seniors. But the times, they are changing.
That's right. As of this year, freshmen are allowed to participate in the sacred institution that is youth in government.
The question on everyone's mind is whether or not these freshmen will have to participate in Forum again next year. Will they be forced to repeat another year in the enigma we call Forum?
Well, we talked to lead advisor Richard Chapin, and he quelled our concerns. He said that freshmen who have already participated in the program will not have to repeat Forum.
That's right, Quinn. They are still figuring out what they will do with the doe-eyed freshmen for their second year, but all we know is that they enter the mysterious 10 as mere seedlings and will leave as a branch on the tree of government. Thank you. Devin and Quinn reporting live.
Back to you in the studio.
Speaking of freshmen strolling around, Ricky, I have to tell you, my feet are killing me.
You know, maybe it has something to do with the switch of the barracks. Are you walking a longer distance now?
You know, I have been. My barracks are twice as far as they were last year, and I am in a premier delegation. It seems a little bit unfair.
Here's Laura and Kim with the story.
Barrack arrangements are quite a bit different this year at Bob 2. Girls, normally housed in the closer barracks, have been switched with the boys to the further set of barracks.
Let's go check it out.
At Bob 1, the boys were way in the back and we were way up front, and so, I think they switched them to, make it fair.
Do you think it's fair?
Well, I've heard somewhere that the guys haven't gone close to barracks in 8 years, so just once, be cool. Next year, you guys come back. So.
But they have armies spread all throughout the 5300s. Consequently, this year we were obliged to not put any females into the 5300 block. All the women this year there's one last row in the 53s, and then all the other women are in the 4000 areas, which is difficult because they're all the old Army barracks with commode right next to each other, which women aren't accustomed to, and actually men aren't anymore either.
The advantages, you get to learn more about time management, and you do learn about how much you have to get up earlier and how you have to manage your time, make sure you get there. But disadvantages is getting there, waking up.
When you think about it, there's the soldiers. If you have one incident of a soldier screwing around with any of the delegates, then that'd be a major thing. We might have to leave Camp Roberts. So it's probably for the better.
Well, there you have it. It's all a matter of safety. Signing off, I'm Kimberly Pike.
And I'm Laura Miller. Gotta go! Gotta catch the bus back to the barracks!
Speaking of Bob 2 being really cold.
Wouldn't you agree that it's not as chilly as it was last year?
You know, Tess, I would agree, but people are still complaining about it being chilly, and they're continuously searching for ways to keep warm.
We have Marissa and Jen investigating this story.
Burr, it's cold out here. There must be some Uggs in the atmosphere.
No, seriously. Camp Roberts has succumbed to an Uggademic of plague proportions just to defend against the biting cold.
Delegates have had to survive in brutal variable winds and 30-degree temperatures. So how do these cool California cats stay warm?
Well, many resort to thick scarves, like you, and layering, and also glittens, gloves that convert into mittens. Imagine that.
Well, some delegates, on a more serious note, have taken an inappropriate approach, involving excessive amounts of PDA.
Well, that's not YNG appropriate.
Not YNG appropriate. No.
Well, we here at YNG TV invite you to stay warm while being appropriate and following the rules.
Well, I'm Jen Kirk.
And I'm Marissa King.
Speaking of a chilly Bob, too, during Meet the Candidate session, we did not get a very warm response when Hillary Clinton's name was mentioned.
No, we didn't. From burr to boo. Here's another story on the wild world of youth and government with Jeanette and Lauren reporting.
At 2:45 yesterday, delegates were introduced to Secretary of State candidates Michelle Silverman and Derek Dolphy.
Out of all the questions asked by the delegates, the one that caused the most reaction was pertaining to the presidential candidates.
When Obama's name was mentioned, there was definitely an enthusiastic reaction from the crowd. However, when Clinton's name was spoken of, there was a little bit of mixed displeasure.
With Clinton's recent win in Nevada, perhaps there is still hope for the female Democrat. However, after yesterday's interview, it is evident that Obama appeals to a younger crowd. This is Jeanette Becerril
and Lauren Cook reporting from Camp Roberts TNE2.
Back to you.
Speaking of booze, some men and women were getting a bit too close to their own booze.
That's true, Ricky, and the administration had an interesting way of preventing it. Now to Caden and Harrison with the story.
Youth and government advisors have been known for their quirky habits and puzzling sayings, but at Bob 2, light was shed on one of their most common phrases, leave room for Jesus on the dance floor. Although delegates strive to be treated as adults and do as much as possible to appear responsible and mature, as soon as the music is pumping, we teenagers revert back to our animal instincts, dancing in ways that could give a nun a heart attack. Whether it's square dancing to country music or break dancing to Kanye's newest hit, advisors feel no remorse as they efficiently and deliberately separate boys and girls on the dance floor. Often described as human spatulas, the advisors seem to enjoy scraping the pancake from the griddle, so to speak, at the dances, reminding delegates to leave space for the guy who brought us Christmas.
Remember, YNG is not about which boy or girl can start a fire with the friction between their garments, but about practicing responsibility and maturity, even on the dance floor. So if you decide to heed the advice of the advisors and leave room for Jesus, assume that he isn't a midget, but a 6'2" linebacker ready to take you out if you get too close. This is Caden Pfeiffer along with Harrison Welsh, hoping you have a fun and productive evening, Jesus included.
Speaking of getting low,
it's tinkle time.
Some delegates this year did not have a very easy time using the loo.
Right, Tess, some had a very, very scary situation time in the loo. John.
Here is Zoe and Emily with the story.
There's a dire situation that has been affecting everyone here at Bob.
Many delegates have been living in constant fear of encountering this horror, while others embrace it.
We are, of course, referring to using the bathroom. Just Saturday morning, some delegates arrived at their barracks and discovered that their bathrooms were missing a crucial element. There were no stalls.
Many people were taken aback by this and were uncomfortable with the idea of using the toilet in plain view of their peers.
Some saw a solution, waiting until joint session. However, upon arrival at joint session, delegates discovered that those bathrooms were out of order.
Delegates were forced to find other means to relieve themselves privately. One way was to slip into other barracks that were lucky enough to have stalls in them.
Some delegates just go when no one's there, or use a system where they call out before entering the bathroom to ensure vacancy.
In the past, advisors would purchase shower curtains or even procure voting booths to create a sense of privacy.
Also in the past, delegates have shown boldness and embraced the idea of a communal bathroom.
Maybe we can take a cue from their actions and learn to bond with our fellow delegates.
Whatever your solution, try not to make it a topic at meals. Your table mates will thank you.
After watching that segment, we really do have to go.
I know, it's time to leave Bob too.
I'm Tess Bartholomew Good.
I'm Ricky Townsend.
And I'm Lauren Gumport. Make sure to stay tuned at SAC.
Thanks for watching.
See you later, delegates.